Samba Sport Podcast, where stories are told.
Hello everyone, welcome to another amazing episode of the Samba Sport Podcast, where stories are told. My name is Hafsa Mohammed. Today we are honored and privileged to host another beautiful lady that has a lot to tell us concerning her journey from the United States of America to Kenya. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Hafsa.
Kindly tell us who you are and a brief history of your journey.
Wow, a brief history. Well, so my name is Andi Utter. I am a Fulbright teaching assistant from the United States of America, as you mentioned. I started out as a young student. I always knew I wanted to go to higher education, so I did, but my background is actually in environmental science and public policy. Right about in the mid-years of my college years, I decided that I wanted to travel abroad, so I did twice. My first visit was to Botswana, my second visit was to Tanzania, and I absolutely fell in love with both places, and my minor is in African Studies, henceforth. I continued to have that be involved in my life. After university, I was a little bit lost. As you guys are aware, that was right about the time Corona hit. Yeah. And so a lot of the stuff that was going to actually bring me back abroad was finished. And so in the meantime, I was just doing some small works, but actually went back to get certified so I could teach English. And that was going to be my way to go again. Yeah. So I am a bit of a globetrotter. I really do like to travel. And where I am right now in Kwale, I have been working with Kombani Secondary School, not only as an English teacher, which is what my job description is, but as a coach of Taekwondo and also a facilitator of menstrual health trainings.
Interesting. You mentioned that your background is environmental science, and here you are, an English teacher at Kombani Secondary. How was your journey from, how did it come to be that you got yourself to Kenya, to Kombani Secondary? How was that like?
Yeah, so I think you bring up a good point. I am actually one of those people that I went to school and I studied one thing, and then I changed my mind. By the time I realized I changed my mind, it was kind of late. And I was like, let me just finish what I started and I will do something different then. Yeah. So I am a testament of the story that you don't have to love the first thing you try. You can try something else. And so I actually did not know that I was coming to Kwale until I arrived in January. I knew in December that I was coming to Kwale. And even then, I was like, where is that? Like where is that place? Yeah. And we were trying to Google it. We were trying to see like where, okay, it's on the coast. Okay, this is, there was this, my sister was very delighted. She saw that there is a town just above us, just north of us here called Wa. And she's like, you get to go to Wa. And she was like, I want you to go to that place. It looks fun. So I was very new to it. The embassy actually directed us to the school we would be serving with. Yeah. And so I landed in Kombani and I've been there since.
Interesting. The Wa town or rather a village is quite interesting. And please tell us about the Fulbright program. Yeah.
So the program that has brought me here, Fulbright is an exchange program. Yeah. So it brings teachers and professors and facilitators, researchers out into the world, but we also invite people into the US as well. It's a two-way exchange. The exchange I am on is specifically focused around English teaching, and it serves as not only as English, but also as kind of a diplomatic arm of the US Embassy. That's a big part of what Fulbright would like to do, is promote peace through education and broadening of English language learning. So with that in mind, they also have given us a lot of flexibility in how is it that you want to go about doing that. Yeah. And so hence why English teaching is a part of what I do, but I also had my hands in many other things, including working with Samba sports. So not only was I, teaching English, but I also continued to volunteer here at Samba and do a variety of different things with you guys as well.
Great. The English Access Program brought you to Samba Sport Youth Agenda. How was your experience? Did you know about Samba Sport before? When you heard about Samba Sport, did you try to Google it or like?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was like, I actually feel like I gained a lot more information about Samba before I did my school. Like my school was still very much a mystery to me, but Samba was not. So the first thing I did was Google, and then I immediately, of course, saw that there was an email, and I decided to email. And of course that goes to management, but I was just like, hello, I'm so-and-so. I've just been placed with you guys. I'm very excited. Where do you guys as an organization see yourself in 5 years? And like, what are your goals? And And I got such a warm response back. And leadership was like, you know what? You ask such beautiful questions. We're going to be having a call. And so there was a call between the incoming English teachers, the embassy, and Samba. And so we had this really beautiful meeting where I got to not only learn more about Samba, but I understood like what is it that you guys do, because on your website it looks like you do everything. And so it can be a little overwhelming because I'm like, they have pictures of, there was Fazil Chinoy, that was like a brand new thing that was being highlighted. And then I was also seeing people playing soccer. And so then I was like, what's happening there? And so now I know more being involved with it. But I think that when the visitor is just looking at Samba, it's like, wow, it kind of just looks like a smorgasbord of youth. And that is what it is. Yeah. But then you also understand that there's value-based education trainings there. There's health trainings, there's mental health. I absolutely adore and love that part of Samba. I think that's such, that's not even a conversation we're having in American schools very well. We're not even taking appropriate action to support our own students in that way, especially with Corona. That's been a huge thing. Everybody's mental health has really taken a dive. And so seeing you guys working with young people, I'm starting to see you guys go into schools. You guys actually have entered Kombani Secondary and are working with, I believe, 12 or 13 youth there. Yeah. And I'm just so excited. Mental health isn't like a quick result. It doesn't bear fruit and be like, look, I made this thing. Yeah. It's one of those things that it works over a lifetime, even though you may not see it. But that doesn't make it any less valuable, especially to the person on the receiving end of it, being heard. Yeah.
Corona hit the world, not just in Kenya in general. So Andi is here in Kwale, Samba Sport. I believe the reception was very welcoming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How was your stay at Samba?
Oh my goodness. I think that what's beautiful is that Samba has so many different characters and so many different actors in different particular activities or maybe different with different roles. Yeah. And so I think that I'm one of those people that I can get along with almost anybody. Unless you are just mean and just not having it, I can really talk to anybody, and I'm open to talking to anybody. Yeah. And so I think that for me, I just got to sample a bunch of what Samba is doing, and everybody was also just as excited to be like, wow, hi, what are you doing here? Yeah. You're our American guest. How are things? Mm-hmm. And so, I feel like I couldn't have had a warmer reception anywhere else. Yeah. And that really is something that I will continue to take with me and continue to, keep an eye on you guys, because this feels like a home.
Yeah, wow, that's super nice. Your work that you do at Kombani Secondary in relation to your stay at Samba Sport, did they by any chance help you out? How did you coordinate while you're doing your work?
Yeah, so I would say especially with the menstrual project. So Madam Brandy and I, we came into Kenya, and we knew that we were expected to teach English, and we were expected to also do something. Like, they're expecting that because we all write reports, all of us do, right? As Samba too. And they were expecting to see something beyond just teaching English. There was that expectation.
Yeah.
And I had started Taekwondo immediately because I was comfortable with that. I know it, like, I've studied it for 12 years. I know what I'm doing. I know how to coach. So if I did that right away, but I was like, okay, like, I know that's not the fullest way for me to serve. So it happened to be in a staff meeting.
Yeah.
And one of the guidance counselors was begging for menstrual pads. She's like, we're out of our emergency stock. We need more for our girls, like if they, come to school and they need something. And thankfully, like, in that meeting, I actually, the principal gave her like a huge, pile. Like, she got a lot and they were restocked. But I looked at that pile and I was like, if every girl in the school needs one, they're gone in a month, in 2 months.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And I was just like, if that is really a struggle for our young ladies, that's just not going to work very much. And so then I got to, like, I became interested. I got curious. I was like, can you tell me more about why is this a problem? And who is it a problem for? And, you start finding out a lot more below the surface. And that became my entry point of like, oh, wow. Well, what if we did something about that? And so I won't lie, it wasn't seamless. We fumbled and we had to figure out what was going to work, what wasn't going to work. How were we going to, because, Brandy and I are on this grant, so we have money to support ourselves, but we don't have money to just throw. So then it was like, okay, well, now we have to do some kind of fundraiser. We need to ask and get different people in our communities to see if they can help. And Samba came in, not only because you guys have hosted us to go and do sexual and reproductive and menstrual health talks. So we've actually traveled with you guys to some of those talks and participated. And so that was super helpful just to kind of see how you guys were doing things. But then it also informed Madam Brandy and I of like, where might we want to go a bit deeper, or where might we want to make things a little different? Which I can go into that if I need to. But essentially, Samba not only provided us kind of a format to get some ideas, but also we worked very closely with one of the members of Samba, Abigail, in this project, and she was instrumental in helping us initiate, and also she is going to be continuing with the trainings come this term break when the girls are expected to bring in a friend, teach a friend, and then hopefully we can have that ripple out beyond those we trained.
Super interesting. I wish I would have been part of, the whole experience at Kombani. When we visit places, we have our best moments. And also we have low moments at the same time. You can't just be all happy at all times. What was your best moment in SambaSport, at Kombani? Would you tell us about that?
Oh man, my best moment in Samba. I feel like, oh gosh, I've had a lot of really good moments. I think, oh geez. Well, besides, whenever we all get to hang out and eat together, it's just a fantastic time. Like food and people, like that's my idea of a good time. But I will say something that I found really profound and that it took me by surprise, let's say. So we were at there was one in particular, there was a Gal Power day at Ngobeni. And we were there, and we had wrapped up the day. It was a big day. It was hot. Like, I personally was exhausted. I was really ready to be done. But toward the end, people were packing up the chairs, we're packing up the tents, and I look around, and I'm just like, you know what? There's trash everywhere. There's bottles, there's wrappers, there's this and that. I was just like, I know that when we arrived here, it wasn't like that. So I grabbed, and I didn't say anything to anybody. I just grabbed a bag, And I just walked around and I just started to put stuff in the bag. And I'm just doing my thing. And pretty soon, I don't even know who it was, but somebody else noticed. And so then they pick up another bag and start going around and doing the same thing. And then pretty soon a few more people notice. And so now a bunch of people are walking around and just picking up, small little bits of trash. It doesn't take very long when there's like 20 of us doing it. Yeah. So by the time we finish, we all, get back in the circle. And I'm sitting there like trying not to fall asleep, like, we're finally done. But during debrief, I want to say it was Malumbo that brought up. He was like, guys, he was like, I would really like us to bring the spirit of environmental stewardship and leadership into our events the way Andi has brought, like the reminder that the environment is important to us and it is important to keep clean. And so I know now that, and various other members of Samba have told me, they're like, I put my trash in my bag now and I wait till I get home so that I can put it where it goes. And so I was just like, it was just such a warm feel, like just surprise in a nice way of like, that is just what I do, that is how I am. Yeah. But that, somebody else could look at that and be like, you know what, that's a nice thing. Like, here is maybe we're an area where we can do better. And it's not like I shouted at anybody. Yeah. I wasn't making any, like, convert now. It was just an invitation. Yeah. And a lot of people decided to take that invitation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a beautiful thing about Samba. If you guys see something that works, you want to do it, right? Yeah. And as far as Kombani goes, like, some of my favorite moments there, oh gosh, I say all of them. Yeah. It's too many, but I will say the celebration that we had at the very end of the menstrual program was an absolute highlight. A lot of our girls, every form, so form 1, 2, so on, each of them had to perform a skit. I asked them, please, something you took away from the training, let's put something together. Yeah. And not only were they well done, but some of them, and I just loved this, some of them I could see distinctly made people and teachers uncomfortable. Like topics that are not spoken of, but that they in that space were speaking of and able to do so. And I know that only happened because we created that space for that to happen. And then it asked them, please share something. And so they did. And while some of us may have been like very like, ooh, we don't say those things or we don't talk about those things. Yeah. It's so important. Like there is a reason why, it's tied into menstrual health. It's tied into reproductive health. Like those are issues we may be scared to talk about, but it's just important, especially as young women. Yeah. If you can start menstruating at 12, that technically means you can have a baby at 12. Yeah. Not that you should. Yeah, but technically, biologically speaking, you can. You can. So I think like that was another just good moment of like, yes, so-and-so is uncomfortable. Yeah. And, that's a good sign. We moved something. We shifted a little. Yeah. We shifted a little. Yeah.
On to the low moments now.
On to the low moment. Wow. Gosh, I would say there was before we started the menstrual project, so this would have been back in like maybe April, May. Yeah. I'd been in Kenya long enough, so I'm not a stranger. Yeah. But I'm also not feeling like I'm doing very meaningful work. I hadn't yet started the menstrual project. I was of course doing Taekwondo, but that was just kind of continuing, but not like I didn't have anything that I was like really excited about. Of course I was like helping in and out of Samba, but I was just like, no, like I need something, but I don't know what. And I'd also like had like this potent mixture of homesickness. So like I was also seeing pictures of my family hanging out together. Yeah. I was seeing pictures of my animals that I miss. I was, getting together with friends, but then I was seeing my other friends getting together and I knew I couldn't. Yeah. And so I think for me, like that lowest moment was kind of that aimlessness, but then also just like feeling lonely and not knowing where like I knew where I could plug in and connect, but I needed to take that step to reconnect somewhere.
Yeah.
And so part of that was turning and then relying on the friends I do have. And then another part of that was, I'm going to do something I've never done before. And we're going to see how it goes. Like, I just need to try something.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can now, on the other side of that, look at that and be like, cool. But, like, that fear and kind of that indecision,
Yeah.
like, I would say that was kind of the low point of, like, I know I need to do something, but I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if it'll work. What if it fails? What if I embarrass myself?
Yeah.
What if, or even, like, what if people don't show up? What if I put on this thing and nobody shows? You know, you have that whenever you're trying to put out something or you're trying to offer something, you can't know how it will go.
Yeah, true.
But you just have to take that step and try and just trust, like, hopefully something will happen. Because even if I were to fail, or even if it failed, it'd be like, well, that didn't work. I'm going to have to try something else now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. You're going back home.
Yes.
What would be your parting shot to Samba Sport as your family and to Kenya as a country?
Yeah.
Would you consider coming back?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Most welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, so let's see. To my folks at Samba, I think that you guys have such a good basis for welcoming in others.
Yeah.
And inviting people in to not only see the work you do, but to also expand on the work you're doing. I know that I'm sure that various different ways and things have been taken out, but because you guys will continue to have and host visitors, they're just bringing new ideas. They're bringing different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And when we only work with the people from our own community, we might not get exposed to that in the same way. So as much as you guys are a community organization, you do a good job of balancing welcoming others in and just refreshing, having some new ideas, new thoughts, new ways. And then if you like it, you can take it. And then if you don't like it, you're like, oh, that's nice, but I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
And as an organization, you guys get to do that. And then bring the best of those things to your community. Like that's the beauty of what Samba does in their work. As far as for the folks of Kenya, kind of as a whole, I think that something that I've really, really taken away from my work, especially at Kombani and with my Access students, with my Access students, they're quite bright. Like they had this wonderful scholarship that invested in them very deeply.
Yeah.
So not only did they nurture English talents, but they nurtured some speaking. They got to take some trips and be exposed to the bigger world. They've got to do different projects, debates, all kinds of things. And really, like, they took their learning and they had that investment of just deep learning. I think part of what I continue to hear in Kombani that I constantly kind of am at arms with is people keep telling me, well, you know, it's a sub-county school. Our students are not very bright. They don't like to do their homework. They don't, you know, they tell me all these things, yes. And okay, school is just one thing we could be good at.
Yeah.
But I know that by working with the young ladies of the Menstrual Project, by working with my Taekwondo students, by even just getting to know other students, there are other things that our students are good at. Like, if you were born to be a dancer, I wouldn't penalize you for maybe not knowing how to speak English super well. Like, your talent is in dancing. It's what you do. It is your passion. It's your thing.
Yeah.
By all means, please, school is important. I will never advocate that school isn't important. I'm a teacher now.
Yeah.
But I will say that sometimes we are neglecting what our students can do.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm thinking of my Taekwondo boys. Like, midway through, I found out one of them is a deeply gifted artist. He is, I keep giving him supplies and things. He has decorated posters. He's done Taekwondo posters. He did my students did a 10 commandments of Taekwondo. I had no idea they were going to do that, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, he was drawing all the Korean symbols for the different words and things. Mm-hmm. So he's really decorated and brought his gifts to that space in such a beautiful way. Yeah. And I was like, wow, what talent. Like, I wish that we could have a support system to develop that for you. And some of my students, like I said, I have gifted dancers. I have students my Taekwondo students are gifted athletes. I want them to continue to develop so that they compete and they can have other ways of expressing themselves. So that, yes, you can have talents in academics, but you could also be equally gifted elsewhere. And I want us to be able to look at our students and see that.
Yeah.
You can be gifted in academics and be gifted elsewhere, or you can look kind of at the whole person and be like, wow, they're just gifted.
Yeah.
This is what they have to bring. If you were born to be a bird, I can't get mad at you for not being able to crawl. That's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're supposed to fly. So I would say, like, as a whole, that's what I wish others could take away from that. Like, our students are bright in different ways. It's equally important.
Interesting. I must say, for me, it was very overwhelming to just listen to you and your experience. And I'm very happy for you. I'm happy that you got to experience part of Kombani, part of Kwale and Kenya as a whole. And it is my prayer and hope that you do come back again. We will definitely miss you, Andi. And I'm very bad at goodbyes, by the way. I normally...
I understand.
Yeah, it's very emotional for me. You know, having to interact with someone, regardless of the time, you know, you get attached to them. Yes. So, yeah, it was a good experience for me too, to have met you, to have worked with you, you know. Safe journey back home. Gosh, I do pray that you really come back to Samba and Kenya. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching this quite overwhelming conversation with Miss Andi here. And I hope this is going to give you an inspiration of where you come from and where you go. You can get beautiful memories and impact so many lives with what you do and and how you meet people out there. This has been the SambaSport podcast, where so many stories are told, Andi being one of them here. Until next time, bye-bye.